Good great evening to ya. It's your girl Key. How are you doing? No, how are you doing really? Because obviously there's very different times that we're finding ourselves in. And so if you find yourself, acting in peculiar ways that are a little bit odd, that you're a bit baffled by, then I'm here to tell you that it's absolutely okay. It's normal. Pay close attention though. We have to pay close attention to any new or odd behavior that we start to display because, well, it's just important to notice. This is about developing self-awareness. And if you're someone who really wants to change your life, if you're tired of being tired, if you're tired of the same old, then becoming self-aware is going to be of the utmost importance to you. Self-awareness is key to change. I can't stress this enough to people, that becoming self-aware about the small and seemingly small, appearing to be insignificant actions that you take are very important for you to be aware of. Why? Why is that? Because it means it links into some of the bigger issues that we have. So that's where, when somebody says, oh, I don't know how I just ended up in bed. Well, no, it doesn't just happen like that. There's a whole sequence of events that we go through in terms of how we just end up in certain situations. So tonight, one of the things that I just quickly decided I wanted to talk about before I left for home was to ask any questions if you're an empath. So empaths can have a pretty rough deal if you're not woke about your empathic nature. So if you're not woke about your empathic nature, life will pinch and life will hurt. Why is that? Well, it will hurt because you won't necessarily understand that being an empath requires that you give something of yourself. So it means that you have to learn to be your own best friend rather just expecting that if you're nice, other people will be nice to you, because it doesn't often work like that. And actually thinking like that is often what gets empaths in the most problems. And generally, this can lead to a lot of frustration. It can lead to a lot of hurt and can lead to things like anxiety and depression, where we're baffled why we keep repeating the same cycles again, why we keep being nice, keep giving, yet once again, somebody hurts us, violates us, and takes our kindness for weakness. So I'm here, I'm live. I've been seeing clients today, but before I left, I just felt like I wanted to reach out to people to, do people know what being an empath really means? Because if you don't, like I said, life will get tricky and you'll keep repeating the same cycles again and again, where you give a lot, easy punam, but you won't get back in return. And if you're not careful, you'll think having a kind heart is a curse. So if you ever hear yourself saying that, you need to start inboxing your girl Key, because I know people like to talk to me privately. But that's a massive issue, because giving is never a curse. Having a kind heart is never a curse. It's a gift. But if you don't know it's a gift, then you won't know how to protect it accordingly. So what you will do is you'll go around perpetually giving, and then you'll be baffled as to why it hurts, because it's a gift. And we have to be the gatekeepers of our gift. Otherwise, we'll give our gift to people who take. Remember, givers need takers. Givers need takers. So we have to be very clear with ourselves about about the type of people, let's put it this way, the type of people we give our energy to. Because some of us be giving our energy to people who are energy vampires. Yes, they take our kindness for weakness, and we perpetually give, love, forgive, and slowly but surely our self-esteem is eradicated. And then we are anxious, depressed, and the next thing you know, you go to your doctors and they're highly likely to offer you two tablets to help you address those feelings. Now, if that's your choice, if that's your mode of healing, that's your free will. I do respect it, but there are alternative ways. You see at the back there, I've got my purple Care Bear. And this is something that I use as a prop. So I work very creatively with people. I'm creative. And so it's one of the reasons why I work for myself, because just, bless you. Bless you. Thank you, sister. I must be doing this for you today. You know what? Look, these nails, I've been trying to pick off this business. It's hard work, man. Care Bear, we have to learn to be our own best friend. Yes? Too many of us are giving away our niceness, and we're sitting there expecting, hoping, wishing, dreaming that that person will come and validate us, appreciate us, and love us in the way that we have loved them and we have given to them. That often doesn't happen. And so for the unwoke, unprotected empath, life will inevitably be very tricky. And if you ever feel, this is when you need to inbox your girl Key, that you feel like having a kind, caring heart is a curse, you need to inbox me, because it's not a curse. You just don't know. Hey, Barbados, how you doing? Oh, you still out there, Sam? How's it going? It is never a curse. It's an absolute gift to be an empath. However, what an empath needs to understand is how best to protect themselves. But don't fret. Your girl Key has been busy writing and writing and writing. And I have created, my assistant has put a massive picture of me here. It's very narcissistic. But you know what? If you don't love yourself, who will? And I've created the Empath's Code. And I'm going to be writing a book on the empath's way and what we need to do to be able to best protect our niceness. So if you want that, you can go to the Key for Change website and go to the resources page where that is available. So I'm very much about helping empaths to understand their nature and to ultimately to make sense out of why giving and caring hurts. Yeah? Because if you don't understand the certain principles about having an empathic nature, you'll be baffled by your relationships. And this isn't just about your intimate relationships. This will impact on a whole raft of your relationships. It will show up more acutely in your intimate relationships, because it may mean that you go for empaths, they've got a lot of love to give, often go for selfish, unnecessarily difficult people. And it is absolutely our ego, because we often believe that if we love them enough, care enough, do enough, that somehow, by some miraculous force, they will morph and change into the person that we have in our mind's eye. So we'll have a vision of how our relationship or that person will be in our imagination, in our fantasy. And that is what we often are clinging on to, yeah, with a vice-like grip, that person will somehow miraculously evolve into the person that we have in our mind's eye. And that rarely happens. And we have to be careful, because I don't know about you, but we're getting up in age now. And so sometimes we can end up holding on for years. And we give, and we give, and we give, and we hope, and we wish, yet ultimately we don't accept reality as it is, because we are stuck holding on to a fantasy in our mind's eye. And that does us a tremendous amount of damage. And in terms of me as a therapist, and in terms of where I'm evolving to now, as you may well know, I've had a great passion about narcissism. But what I'm more interested in now is the empath. Because if empaths are susceptible to narcissists, then it is in your best interest to understand what it means to be an empath. We can spend time studying about narcissism, and they're angry, and they were the gaslighting and all the tips and all the things that they do to you. And I don't have a problem with that. As you know, I've written books about that topic. No problem there. However, if you're an empath, then you're highly likely to be susceptible to their behavior, to their charms, because they can charm you, I tell you for shizzle, they can charm you. However, what you need to truly understand is what it means to be an empath and have an empathic nature. And so that is the direction that my professional expertise is taking me in at the current time, where I focus, drill down on what it really means to be an empath, so that you can think and begin to consider. That's all we're doing. We're just thinking, yeah? I don't know what the fear is all about, but people are scared. I don't know why, but hey ho, all we're doing is thinking. Is to get you to think about how best you protect your empathic gift. Yeah? So that we know that those are narcissistic people, and we know that we can get drawn into this toxic push-pull relationship with them. But in terms of my involvement, where I'm at is that, you know, we need to stop thinking about ourselves as victims as well. So we need to move on from blaming and considering ourselves to be a victim, so that we become more empowered. So we know that we have this gift of empathy, and that we become very empowered because we learn how to protect our nature. So it don't mean that we're not drawn to certain types of people, but we become woke and very clear about what we need to do about that, so we don't keep going round in vicious cycles. Because I don't know about you, but if you're an empath, is it the same family too? Well, I would suggest that they are very clear principles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to my empath's self-protection code. I just got this done. It's hot off the press. I'm going to put that on a link just below so you can download those tips. Those tips are relatable everywhere. They're relatable whether it's someone you're in love with, it's relatable in relationships. Because remember, by the time an empath gets into a toxic relationship with someone with narcissistic tendencies, those empathic skills have usually either been cultivated already, or abused, often can be the case, throughout our childhood. So that kind empathic nature we've had, it's been our nature. Or actually, we may well have been brought up in households where we were, you know, conditioned to continuously help, conditioned to always give. And so obviously that creates a whole, that means by the time we enter into our intimate relationship, there's so much that's already become entrenched, you know. And some of the things that become entrenched is people pleasing, putting others first, not acknowledging our needs. Well, firstly, in the first sense, we don't even realize we have needs because we're so busy giving because of often how we've been raised. So there's a whole sequence of events that will happen. So it will show up very acutely in abusive relationships, one-way relationships. But yes, I would say, you know, that would definitely, the tips here will benefit you in whatever relationship. Let me read one of the short ones because I'm a very wordy person. Tip 13. Learn to distance yourself or limit your time with energy drainers and problem-focused people. They can suck the life out of you. As you know, Key doesn't really mince words when it comes to protecting our greatness, because everything is energy. And remember, just as I've built Key for Change from an idea, a mustard seed of an idea, you know, that was energy I channeled into building my vision. And that is the same energy that we can sometimes use to channel into situations that ain't working for us. So remember, if everything is energy, this is one of the reasons why I'm moving into helping empaths best understand themselves, so that we refocus our energy. Rather than reading 20,000 books on narcissism, you can get woke about your nature and take proactive steps here to best protect yourself. That to me is where I'm evolving to. It's where I'm evolving to naturally, because what happens is, over the years, this is my 8th year in private practice, the themes begin to emerge, you know. So I see themes again and again and again, and I'm just like, you know what, I think my duty is to really help people to understand what it truly means to be an empath, so that you can best protect yourself, and that will assist throughout all your relationships. But if you're in a toxic intimate relationship, I would suggest that usually is a manifestation of other toxic relationships that can often stem from our childhoods. But we don't want to do deep, right? Because no one wants to do deep. People just want to do the superficial stuff, right? Well, fair enough. But I can tell you this for shizzle, you will have limited growth, and you will have likely to repeat vicious cycles again and again and again. But what do I know? I've only studied a psychology degree, a master's, various diplomas, and I bought so many books, I don't know what to do with them anymore. But I'm not giving them away, because one day I want to have a massive bookshelf in my home, wall to wall, ceiling to floor with books, because I grew up hating reading. Never once read a book. First book I read was when I was 21 years old. But hey ho, that's my story. And this isn't about me. This is about being an empath and how best you look after your greatness. Because trust me, if you don't, people will violate, they will take advantage of your nature, and they will use you and abuse you. And where I'm at right now is that we have to learn how to best defend ourselves. No one's coming to rescue you. So we have to learn to be, I should really get up and get this. We have to learn to be our own best friend. And this is why I'm such an advocate of developing your inner Care Bear. Your inner Care Bear is the you that looks after you. This is the you that puts you first. This is the inner Care Bear, because an absence of the inner Care Bear means that we have the harsh inner critic. You know that voice in you where you're a real bitch to yourself, where you unblock people you know you really should block and delete, but whatever this little voice starts saying, oh well, maybe he's really sorry, he's gonna change this time. So you're like, you know, you're hopeful, and so you let people in, and what do? They violate, they use you, and they take advantage of your kindness. We don't want that no more. We don't want that more. It's time to evolve. And what we want to evolve is to have an inner Care Bear. So this is about where we develop inner compassion. We develop compassion for ourselves. So that might mean, yes, my lady flower is fluttering, and I would like Robert to deal with the matter, to deal with it proper. For example, if we're talking about an intimate relationship. However, we're very woke with ourselves because we know that that is not good for us. So we have to make choices to best protect ourselves. So this is your inner Care Bear. Often, the real truth is, often empaths never feel good enough. And so we care, we give, in the hope, a secret unconscious hope that somebody else will validate us. And it doesn't happen. And it becomes this carrot that you're always chasing and you never quite grasp. That's why we develop self-love. We develop self-compassion. We learn to become our own best friend. So that harsh voice in us, yeah, that Cruella de Vil in us. I don't know what you call your inner critic. I've decided to call mine Cruella de Vil, and I depict her here. So I know when that voice comes up, yeah, we're talking voices here. We need to start talking voices. Everybody has voices in their head. Doesn't mean you're a Looney Tune if you talk about your voices. We need to get over this stigma. This is one of the reasons why people don't talk about it, and then it ends up becoming worst case scenario. Then times we end up in the hospital, people are joking us up on all these things. Yeah, we want to start to have a dialogue about this. This voice is the voice where we make choices, where we intuitively we know it's not good for us. But for whatever reason, we say yes, and we allow people into our lives who violate, who take our kindness for weakness. But the more woke we get, is the more we develop our inner Care Bear. That's the part of you that says yes to you. That's the part of you that when you say yes to you, you're going to experience guilt. Sit down, experience the guilt. But don't let the guilt propel you to taking actions that intuitively you know are not great for you. I explore this in my new tips, so do consider downloading those. But the inner Care Bear is also linked to self-compassion. And if you have no self-compassion, if you beat up on yourself, if you talk to yourself in a way that you would never talk to another human being, then this needs to become your best friend. Yeah? You need to become your own best friend. And if you have a critical voice inside you, if your critical voice inside you is always putting you down, judging you for whatever attempts you have, then it's highly likely, and this often happens, I see it time and time again, that you don't have an inner Care Bear. You're not kind to yourself. You're not compassionate with yourself. And you're downright awful. And when I witness that in front of me with clients, when they say little dirty statements about themselves or they put themselves down, I have to let people know, I don't tolerate you talking about yourself in a derogatory way in my presence. I don't appreciate that. And that can be a massive eye-opener for people to realize how profoundly awful they are with themselves. And that's one of the reasons why I work creatively. It's one of the reasons why I work for myself, because this would have just been a problem if I was in the NHS. They'd be like, oh, that's not allowed, that's not with protocol, that hasn't been approved by all the psychologists, is in Whitehall, you're not allowed to do that, that could harm somebody. So, you know what? I just like, you know what, let Key find a way. And by God's grace, 2020, we are still here, we are still helping people. So that's all I'm encouraging you to do, is that if you are an empath, usually empaths are also helping professionals, you've got a lot of love to give. We also need to really and truly develop self-compassion so that we can see situations as they are, not as we want them to be. A lot of things that cause us pain is because we want things to be very different, or we live in a hope and fantasy, and actually that's one of the worst things we can do. That can be very damaging for the empathic soul, because you then just perpetually give and give and give and give and give, and then it's no good. It's absolutely not good for you. So it's your girl Key. I'm here to be of service. I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to inspire people so that you develop, okay, well, that's why I do that. So you develop self-insight and you develop self-awareness. Self-awareness is the true key to change. So I'll put a link here. This will take you to my 50 tips to help you to stay sane. Thank you, Emily. I really appreciate that. One of the things about going live is well, maybe I don't do it actually, is I don't ask people to ask me questions. I can just chat about this topic all day. So probably it's my own style, but hey ho, it is what it is. You know, you can always inbox me, but I'm just very mindful of not asking people actually, because of the nature of, obviously, the topics that I deal with still comes with a lot of stigma and shame, so I don't necessarily expect people to engage. But like I said, you can always inbox me. It's your girl Key. It's all about protecting your empathy, because your kindness is a gift. It's never a curse. And if you hear yourself saying, I care too much, I'm too sensitive, I'm too emotional, you're not. You're made that way. Going against that way is more likely to cause you mental health problems. I said it, it's the truth. It's your nature. Don't fight your nature. It's like trying to swim upstream. It is just not right. What you don't understand is how best to protect yourself. And that's just one of the reasons why I've created the 20 self-protection tips for empaths. Go to the Key for Change website, download it. It's for you, no charge. Consider the steps, and most importantly, don't just this isn't theory. This isn't just reading it and being like, oh, this is lovely to read. And this is the difference between myself and many others. A lot of people know a lot of stuff. They can read the books all day long. The challenge is the application. Can you apply to your behavior? Application is always key. So you could download these tips, share the tips, tell them with your friend, share them. The glory truly comes when we face our vulnerability. We quiver and we are fearful, yet we act. That's the true key. It's one of the reasons why I'm here. It's not because, you know, so many people are like, oh, Key, you're brave, you've got courage, and, you know, look what you've done. I have fears, but I know what I know what will happen if you don't face your fears. They get a grip over you and they get a grip over your life. They ain't great for your greatness. What I know about fear is I experience it, but I act regardlessly. The fear's there, I acknowledge it, I see it, I feel the sweat, I might have to console with my inner circle, and I'll still act. It's one of the reasons why I could do the Bin Isolation Challenge. It's not that I don't feel like, oh my God, really, I'm dressing up to do this. It's not about that. It's about experiencing the uncomfortableness and acting. So my friends, please download the tips if you choose to, but remember the true glory comes in taking action. Action is key, and action will start to enable you to differentiate yourself from the talkers and the striders. We want to be the striders. We're not just talking about this. We want to be the people that take action. It's your girl Key. If you need any assistance, inbox your girl. It is now minutes to 12. I need to go home. Take care of you. Because if you don't,